Greetings! Welcome to another episode of Porygondolier. In today's installment, I'll combine ROM hacking with a famous glitch to answer a question nobody asked. To begin with, here's a really brief introduction to the so-called hooked Dragonite glitch in Pokémon Red and Blue. As with many glitches, this one begins by heading to the Safari Zone. We pay our 500 Pokédollars and proceed to enter. Now we need to confuse the receptionist. We leave and he asks if we're done. We say no and go back in. Then we do it again, and again say no. Now save the game and reset. The receptionist is now completely confused, and when we go in this time, he asks us if we'd like to join the hunt. The answer here is no. We now fly to Pewter City and used up most of our 500 safari steps. Having done that, we chat with this guy who asks if we've seen the museum. No, can't say I have. Definitely haven't been there recently. He starts walking us to the museum, but oh no, we've run out of steps, and we're sent back to the deeply confused receptionist. We simply leave, and it turns out we were in Pewter City Mart. How odd. After this text box disappears, save the game and reset. Now if all has gone well, the museum guy will be doing this, whatever this is. We need to stand in this exact spot and try to get his attention. This is tricky as most of the time he will ignore you, but stay persistent and keep mashing A. He'll ask us if we've seen the museum, and by now I think you know what the right answer is. Now we stare into each other's eyes for a while, and then he whispers his usual text to us in a completely non-romantic way. Ignore his words and a wild encounter begins, which, if it wasn't obvious from the name of the glitch, is a hooked Dragonite. Marvellous, now what does this have to do with bridges? Well, sometimes I get bored and make bridges in Pokemon games. My most recent creation was a crossing all the way from Pallet Town to Fuchsia City. You can also get off at Cinnabar. I wanted to see if it's possible to use the bridge to get a hooked Dragonite very early in the game. So, I start a new game and get myself a starter. I choose Charmander because I like it, and beat up my rival John for trying to sniff me. I thought you were going to smell me later, John. Not now. What a peculiar individual. Now we go to Viridian and get Oak's parcel. I deliver it in exchange for a Pokédex. Now we can head to the bridge, but first I'm doing a little bit of training, and I also buy a Pokéball that, as you'll see in a minute, I don't need. With that done, I take to the bridge and enjoy the view. It really is a joy walking on this bridge. If you'd like to try it out for yourself, all the information is in the doobly-doo. Right, having arrived in Fuchsia City, I buy an Ultra Ball and this needs to go in the top slot. We can now proceed to confuse the receptionist. Since we don't have Fly, I figure I have 500 steps. Maybe I can walk all the way to Pewter City. But no, there's no chance. So plan B. Reload to the Safari Zone and head to route. Which number was it? The one with the dittos anyway. And here's a ditto now. Oh no, whatever shall I do? Oh shucks, I have been defeated, and magically warped back to Pallet Town. In theory, nothing I just did should have interrupted the Safari step counter. I make my way to Viridian Forest, being extremely careful to not waste steps. Ish. I now need to beat this guy with his Weedle, which is exactly why I trained Charmander up a bit earlier. I triumph over Weedle, but it's a very good job I picked up an antidote. I arrive in Pewter City with a few steps to spare. Talk to the dude, and now we can see if this still works when there's a bridge. If I can just get this guy's attention. That's a battle, and it is indeed a hooked Dragonite. Now, there's one thing about this glitch I failed to mention. As it stands, the game is set to ignore all of our button presses, which means we can't actually catch it. But that's not much good, is it? So I figured out a GameShark code that will unlock the controls. It's somewhat imperfect, which is why I put the Ultra Ball in the top slot. I don't know why, but after opening the item menu, the top item gets used automatically. If the ball fails to catch, the battle ends as we've run out of Safari Balls. I'm not entirely sure, but my guess is that this battle is in a bizarre hybrid state of a normal wild encounter crossed with a Safari encounter crossed with a Safari Zone receptionist having a midlife crisis. But anyway, now it's a case of rinse and repeat, but we only need to repeat from the last save. After 6 attempts, I successfully caught a hooked Dragonite, from a combination of a glitch, some map editing, and good and honest cheating. Now I try to have a look at it, but my start menu is locked. So to unlock it, I go and fight Buzz Lightyear, and, optional step, lose. If you're wondering if I can instantly level it up to 100 by getting a small amount of EXP, sadly the answer is no, as that only works for members of the medium slow experience group. Dragonite is just slow. Just out of curiosity, I'll put on my overlay and we can take a look at its stats. I figure those are some pretty random looking DVs, but just to be sure I did it all again and got a completely different Dragonite. And that's the end of that. But before finishing up, for anyone that saw my full video on the bridge to Fuchsia, I'd like to address the Snorlax-shaped elephant in that video. As I was showing off which parts of the game could and could not be accessed using the bridge, but without getting a starter, I said, and that is as far as we can go. Completely overlooking the fact that after getting Koga's badge in the HM for Surf, the other Snorlax is no longer an obstacle, and so you can in fact access the rest of the map. I'm told that the not having chosen a starter thing has some interesting effects on the game, but this is all I have for you today. I'd like to wish you a wonderful day, and I look forward to welcoming you back to another video soon. For now, bye!